What's up guys, and welcome to, well, this Q&A video. About a week ago I suppose it was, put up the Q&A announcement and got some good questions from you all, so that's obviously what I'll be answering today. Gonna put some gameplay in the background, just as I recorded the other night playing with friends, a game called Duck Game, just so it's not plain background as we answer questions, so hopefully that'll be a little interesting. I'm sure some of you will just watch it in the background though, as noise basically. So let's jump on. I've got a few questions obviously from people. I've managed to narrow it down to sort of questions about Ultra Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon rather, Pokemon, the channel in general, and then personal questions about me. So that's the order we're going to go through them in, and yeah, that's basically it. So to begin with the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon questions, because that's, I guess, the most topical currently. The first question we have here from Snowy Leopard. Ask me, am I excited for Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? Well, of course. Who wouldn't be? I suppose some people might not be because it's sort of just a rehash of Sun and Moon, so I can understand why people wouldn't be. I myself am, though, because I'm excited for basically any new main series Pokemon game, just because they always want to do something different with it, so I can hardly complain, I suppose. Obviously, would I have preferred Diamond Pearl remakes? Maybe, but at the same time, it means we'll probably get Diamond Pearl remakes on the Switch, which might be a lot greater, sort of to say, saying how far they go with that with Generation 8. But yes, I'm pretty excited for Sun and Moon, or Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, but basically the same anyway. Do I think Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon have gyms or keep trials? Obviously I've made a video about this, whether they'll bring gyms back because of all the little hints we had in normal Sun and Moon about, you know, places to build buildings and such. What do I think? I think trials are probably going to stay, to be honest. We did see a trial guide in one of the quick trailers or quick clips we've seen so far. That doesn't mean they're staying necessarily, because the trial captains or the sort of trial guides, that's what I mean, could easily just become the gym guides, you know, gym trainers, stuff like that. But I think they're going to just carry on with it. Maybe have similar to Sun and Moon's post game, where it will sort of plots of the game, which was where, you know, we made a Pokemon League. Do you want to become the Pokemon League champion? Your post game could possibly be related to the gym starting up, and then you can go around the region and challenge the gyms themselves as a post game activity. With obviously that means every gym would have high level Pokemon, which would be a bit interesting rather than having the gyms with, you know, sort of level 10s, level 20s ramping up like that. You could have them all be level 60, and that might be interesting to see how, you know, you'd have 8 challenging gym battles, and it just could be interesting in that instance there. So I think they'll keep trials, but there is a hope for gyms, I suppose. Then next up, Reshi Ram asks me, if Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon don't contain everything meant to be in the Alola region, could new Pokemon be released in the later islands of the anime with new Alolan forms, Ultra Beasts, etc.? So I think what this person intends this question to sort of refer to is, could we get some more Generation 7 Pokemon, with a side note, of course, extra Alolan forms, Ultra Beasts. In terms of new Generation 7 Pokemon, as a side note, I suppose, unlikely. It's never happened before that Pokemon have been added in a generation. Generally, you get your generation and that's it. Generation 6, of course, was a very, very slim generation. We were talking about the fact that you might get some more Pokemon at some point, but it didn't happen. It's very unlikely to happen because if you think about how it would affect the Pokedex itself, you'd end up with sort of more Generation 7 Pokemon tacked on the end after the Ultra Beasts and Marshadow and whatnot, which just really would screw with the whack of the Pokedex in general. It means you'd have like a Generation Part 1, Generation 7 Part 1, Generation 7 Part 2, and it would just seem messy, I think. So I don't think it's ever really likely to happen. New Alolan forms and Ultra Beasts, though. New Alolan forms are definitely viable for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. They did it with Mega Evolutions with Oras. They've done similar things in the past with different forms of Pokemon. So I'd say it's very likely, if not pretty confirmed, that they'll actually add some extra stuff in terms of Alolan forms to keep the hype going. Ultra Beasts, of course, they are actually just physical Pokemon, so related to the extra Generation 7 Pokemon, it's unlikely again, because of course it would mess with the Pokedex, and just it hasn't been done before. It could be done at some point, and that would, you know, flip the tables almost, but until it is done, I'd say it's unlikely we see anything along those lines. But that's it for that question. I think there's one more for Ultra Sun and Moon, which is, well, it's a two-part question actually, thanks to Solaris290. The first one is, would I like to see certain characters' roles switch in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? I would, to a certain extent, not necessarily roles, so role-wise, yes, okay, it could be interesting, so you could have like Faber be a member of Team Skull, That might be interesting, but at the same time, I think I'd like them to keep them in the same factions as such, but possibly change the whole factions around. So, as I mentioned in previous videos, a Foundation possibly being the actual good guys this time, or not being not being intending to mess the region up, and Team Scale maybe being the pure bad guys, or even the Ultra Beasts coming in being a faction and being a pure threat to the Alola region. In terms of individual people and characters, I wouldn't like it as much. Just because I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me as much. The example that they've given, particularly Kihili as an admin of Team Skull, possible. Kihili didn't have much of a role in Sun and Moon themselves. I feel like if they actually did this specific one there, it would be too similar to Malva from X and Y actually being a hidden member of Team Flare, or a reference member of Team Flare, I suppose. In that instance there, but generally, I'd like to see factions switched around in terms of whether they're good or bad, but not particular characters. At least much. Then part 2 here, we have what do you think of the Ultra Beasts in Sun and Moon, which is my favourite. I did like the Ultra Beasts. They're a different sort of thing. When they were first announced, it seemed like there was going to be a huge sort of shake-up, like, oh my god, completely new sort of stuff. It turned out just to be like new legendaries almost. They are from a different dimension, basically, so that could play into how they're classified in the future. You could even see them, I guess, possibly dropped after Generation 7. I wouldn't think so, because they are sort of Pokemon and we don't generally drop Pokemon, but I guess it's possible in the future. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be interesting how they carry it across, because what happens when we get to Generation 8? It's okay, you can transport Pokemon up, but what further into Generation 9, 10? How do you catch Ultra Beasts in those later games? Do you just have Ultra Wormholes everywhere now? Is that like, are we entering an Ultra Dimensions? We could be with Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, where you have, the Ultra Space is like a proper threat. It's, wormholes are everywhere rather than just in the little region, stuff like that. You could see a different dimension, so we would have the normal dimension, the Mega Dimension, and the Ultra Dimension all mixed together there. It's possible. It's possible at least. So there's the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon questions. So if we look at the Pokemon questions, which are the more general questions about Pokemon in general, who would have guessed? So first up, which is my favourite Mega Evolution? Probably gonna have to say Mega Charizard Y. Charizard is one of my favourite Pokemon. I do like the Mega Evolution it got in terms of the Y one. The X one is pretty cool too, but I prefer Y. It keeps a fairly similar sort of theme and design for the normal Charizard, but gives it bigger wings. Drought, it's a pretty cool ability as well, even though it's not amazing and competitive. I do quite like it in terms of using it in game. Then, next up was a question on number 2, if I manage to open the images correctly. Favourite Pokemon per generation. Okay, so Charizard Gen 1, pretty obvious. Elekid Gen 2. Generation 3, off the top of my head, I'm going to have to say Rayquaza, but Blaziken's sort of a second short runner, I suppose. Runner-up, that's what I'm thinking of. Generation 4, Lucario maybe, or Electivire, of course, what am I thinking of? Electivire for Generation 4, Generation 5, thinking about those, probably Zekrom, I've always liked Zekrom as a sort of legendary design. Generation 6, in terms of X and Y and stuff like that. I don't think I had any sort of affinity to any particular Generation 7 Pokemon itself, but Zygarde, especially with its new forms, is pretty damn sick. And then Generation 7 for the Alola region. I did quite like Vikavolt before the games came out, but since it's absolutely terribly slow, I just can't like it that much. So in terms of Generation 7 Pokemon for favourites, I would probably have to say, I don't know, I've done a Generation 7 favourite before, to be honest. Maybe Marshadow, if it gets a different form, an extra form in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, could definitely sort of propel it forward into a favourite. But Necrozma is pretty sick as well. But as some of you may know, I'm terrible with favourites, so I don't tend to pick them that often. But that's a general roundup of my favourites. Daniel asks, what are my views on the new Pokemon Go raid battles updates? Pokemon Go. I haven't actually really touched Pokemon Go since probably about like August last year. Not because it's a bad game at all, but because I live somewhere that just doesn't support it at all. To really, I've always said to people, to actually make success of Pokemon Go, to be able to play it as a proper game, you have to live in a city basically, or at least a town where you can actually walk around and visit several Pokestops. If I were to play, there's one Pokestop I could visit, which is near in walking distance basically. But just the one, so it's not like in cities where you could go for a walk and hit like 5-10 Pokestops on that walk. I would have to walk up to it, walk back home and do that every hour, I suppose, something like that, which is just a bit boring, or at least go up there and sit outside the Pokestop, which is just, again, pretty boring. So I haven't actually touched it since August because, of course, I ran out of Pokeballs. About Pokestops, there's no Pokeballs, which means you can't actually play the game at all. So I haven't actually touched it at all with the Johto Pokemon or anything like that, just because of where I live. So if you live in the city, I'm sure it's great fun. Just because of where I live, it's not as good. But so new Pokemon raid battles, it's like the new gym battles, I think, isn't it? Pretty sick. I don't like the fact you have to like use tickets for them, but maybe that's just because I haven't actually looked into the mechanic too much. I prefer it to be open, but that's just me. So that's Pokemon Go there. Moving further on, what is the best moveset for Relicanth, and which 2 stats should be maxed out? Well, Relicanth, who uses Relicanth really competitively? Who knows? In terms of the 2 stats to max out, they suggested attack and defense. I'd probably say that's about right. You know, it's a physical attacker, and it's got pretty good physical defense. It's not speedy at all, so there's not much point in doing speed at all. So attack and defense sounds like good. Maybe some health points too, because obviously pretty bulky, so you could go attack and defense for some power, but then again it doesn't have very good attack, so you could just go full bulk with health points and defense. In terms of sort of moveset and stuff like that, it gets Stealth Rock, which obviously if you're getting defensive, that's always pretty good. Head Smash, I think it gets 2 being a rock type, and of course that's going to do a lot of recoil damage to you, but Relicanth has Rock Head, so definitely in those lower tiers you can make use of that. In terms of other stuff, obviously Rock Slide is another sort of option there if you don't want Head Smash. And then if you're going defensive, just Protect, probably Toxic as well. Scald could go for as well because it's water type, so it could burn up. And obviously, if you don't have to invest in special attack for that, because you know, why would you? But you know, Rock Slide, Scald could definitely be a good one to get some burns off. But if you're going offensive, I think it gets Rock Polish, so you can probably have some Rock Polish there and just go full out attacking. I guess Waterfall is a TM. Yeah, TM it gets to, and yeah, just go full out offensive on that there. But that's Relicanth for some little data decks in the middle of the Q&A. Moving up next though, Video Card Gamer asks, would it be great if Atlas and the Pokemon Company team up to make a game that crosses over Pokemon with Shin Megami Tensei? I've never played the game itself. I haven't got literally any experience with the game, so I don't know too much about it. In terms of crossovers and stuff like that in general though, it could be cool to see a crossover like that where you have, you know, Pokemon, not so being the main characters, but yeah, being a fighting character sort of thing. But I felt like generally it would ruin Pokemon, I suppose, if it became a mainstream thing that anyone could sort of cross over. We'll have to see how Mario and the Rabbids crossover. It seems like it's going to be received well, so something that could happen with Pokemon in the future. But of course, they have to do it well, and it has to be the right sort of genre as well. So if that's wrong, if they get it wrong, it would just kill it for the future. So if they do it, they'll try and do it right, basically. Moving up next though, we have Jeffrey who asks, if you were making a main Pokemon game, what would you add in it? And following up with that, we also have Lazaro Cardenas who asks what would be my ideal Pokemon game. So I'm going to combo these up because it's my own game, you know, sort of what would be my ideal game. So I'll go from Lazaro's sort of listed ones. So new Pokemon, lots of them please. X and Y and Sun and Moon, one of the main complaints was not enough Pokemon. I agree with that. I feel like not necessarily on the scale of Black and White, where it had all new Pokemon. You couldn't catch any, you know, older ones until after you'd beaten the game. I want a good mix, but I also want a lot of new Pokemon added. If that means making a big Pokedex, a big region, I'm fine with that as well. Following up with region, yes, a big region, that'd be cool. I'll always be a good sort of supporter of a region based on the United Kingdom, because obviously I live here, which would be pretty cool. You know, you got England, you got Wales, Scotland, you got Northern Ireland, and then possibly just put Ireland in there as well. That'd be cool. Make a nice big region, you know, got, you know, loads of routes and stuff. It might be cool, it might not be. I'd like to see it happen at some point in the future. Who knows if it will. Battles, trades, characters, stories, loads more. Battles, challenging battles for once, especially with gym battles or similar. We had some challenging battles with the trials and the totem Pokemon in Sun and Moon, but not quite on the same level as the battles, you know, challenge battles we like with trainers and whatnot, using actual strategies. Characters, likable characters, I suppose. A bad rival, a nasty rival, similar to Gladion. But maybe, you know, what, Gladion was a sort of a rival affiliate of an evil team, but, you know, I've always suggested a rival that ends up joining up with an evil team, as you go along the journey to show that you are the good guy, he's turned into a bad guy, sort of thing. Characters, story, similar to that, you know, an engaging story. I'm never too worried about the story in Pokemon games, because generally it's not been that good anyway. But you could see, especially with the Switch, be getting more cinematic stories. We already had pretty cinematic story in Sun and Moon, so depending on how far they want to go with it, they could push it even further, and we could see some properly compelling stories in the future. Evolution methods, I feel like we're pretty maxed out on them already. Maybe some extra location ones. Definitely not turning your 3DS upside down, because that's just terrible. How's Ink going to evolve on the Nintendo Switch? Who knows? Gyms, trials, probably gyms. Trials were cool. It was a nice sort of break, but gyms, you know, will always be the initial sort of feature, the initial structure of the game. So I can, I would have to say bring that back possibly. Post game story, a lot of it's something meaningful in the post game. Anyone would ask for that basically. Battle facilities, I've actually never been a huge fan of the Battle Frontier or Battle Tower or Battle Chateau. I never really tend to use it. I do the main game for Pokemon and I basically leave it there. But battle facilities, it's always nice to add them in case you want to extend your experience of the game and master those things. And ways to train Pokemon, similar, just a way to train them, whether it's the Blissey bases in Oras, whether it's the like Audino trainers and other ways to level up quickly, because again, that's something Sun and Moon was lacking. But then moving on to the last question for the main Pokemon section, we have Tommy Ow, who asks a couple questions, some related to Pokemon, so we'll do this first. Which Pokemon would you say most aligns with my personality? Oh god, I don't even know what my personality is, to be honest. It's just always a problem. I have no idea really. Far-fetched maybe, but even then it just sort of, it's just me, sort of projecting, and I have no idea if that even matches, so that's a really terrible answer. But number 3, XY added Megas, Auras added Primals, SMS added Sun moves. If you get any new mechanic to Pokemon, what would it be? I'd have to say possibly regional variants. We have them, yes I know, with the Alolan forms, but what I mean by regional variants is the original sort of thing that started popping up on Tumblr and Twitter before Alolan forms were even in the picture, which was, you took a Chikorita and you just changed the leaf slightly. You didn't change the type at all. It wasn't like an overhaul. It was like, you had one for the forest, one for grasslands, one for, stuff like that. That would be really interesting, and you could have loads of different variants of the same Pokemon, and you could have, you could prefer a single variant, you could try to catch that, or you could just be like a catchable guy and go to catch every single variant of every single Pokemon, which would be an interesting challenge. And obviously it wouldn't necessarily fit a normal Pokemon game because little kids play it and it would just be sort of too much, but it would be cool nonetheless for me. It would let me sink some time into the games as opposed to just playing them, I guess. But then that's new mechanic, regional variants. So the first one here we have is what some of my favourite videos we made for the channel, because we're now moving on to the channel section. I've made too many videos for the channel. I mean, currently we're sitting at, this will be the 1954th, that's how to say it, video on the channel. So we're nearing 2,000. We'll probably get there before Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon come out, which is pretty sick. Like 2,000 videos, or almost 2,000 videos, and it'll be higher than the actual number because obviously some I've deleted in the past. But some of my favourite ones, oh god, I can't remember. Yeah, probably some of the most controversial ones. I'm going to search by most popular, and most viewed, I suppose, on my list of videos, just to sort of give me an idea, because I've made too many I've forgotten. So let's have a look here. Shiny hunting guys I made for X and Y, those were really cool to make. I didn't actually finish the series, I made like 1 or 2, but people liked it and I just really liked it. All my egglocks basically have been really cool series to make. Pokemon Y Egglock, definitely got a lot of fun there. I think I did one for Oras too as well, I did one for Diamond. I just liked egglocks in general because it was the best way to interface with my viewers, I suppose. And obviously majority of my, I got to say one of my favourite videos is the No More Gyms video for Sun and Moon, because I made it, I was like, no more gyms, oh my god, and people were like, oh, you're crazy, what, no more gyms? No, there's always going to be gyms and Pokemon, and then like 2 months later they were like, no gyms. That was just, a little fun one there. But yeah, generally, that's sort of pretty sick there, and I can't really complain. So there's a few different favourite videos there. But moving on to the actual, then moving on to the channel questions. Let's see what we've got here. First up, we have when did I start YouTube and why? So in terms of this channel, I believe it was like January 2013 I started. And why did I start? I don't know. I've done YouTube before this channel as well. It was just a case of doing something to fill my time, enjoying Pokemon. Doing something constructive as well. So it wasn't just like me playing Pokemon or something, it was doing something constructive at the same time and seeing a result, I suppose. As I mentioned, it's not my first channel. I had like 1 or 2 before it, a few different ones on and off over the years. I can't remember when my first channel was, like maybe 2010, 2011, off the top of my head, who knows. But that's that. And then when did I start playing Pokemon? It was probably in not 2000, just after that. I think I would have been in year 5, 6 at school, which means 10 years ago, maybe something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I came in about the time that Ruby Sapphire and Fire Red Leaf Green released. So Fire Red Leaf Green were my first games. My friend at school introduced me to Ruby and Sapphire, and that sort of rolled on from there. So that's the story of playing Pokemon. Jeffrey asked, do I think of doing Let's Plays in terms of on the channel? As I mentioned just now with the Egglocks, I have done them in the past. Right now, probably not. It will give me something to do, of course. But the trouble with Let's Plays is the first episode or two maybe does really well, and then it still goes downhill, as you expect with any series. But it's just a big sort of hit to my, not so confidence, but my drive to actually do it, because, yeah, if no one's watching the videos, it's sort of like, oh, why am I doing that sort of thing? And it is a lot of work as well to obviously record it, and my room's not necessarily the coolest room, no air conditioning and whatnot, so it can be pretty stuffy and whatnot. It's just not, sometimes it's just not as enjoyable, especially, it might be fun the first two episodes as I mentioned, but then you're recording it and it's hot and stuffy, and it might be it's sort of, playing on the emulator for the most part as well, and then you just think, well, why am I making these videos when I could be making videos like speculation ones that people would actually watch, and it just goes from there. So that's why I've not done Let's Plays in a long while. Just because the interest isn't particularly there for my channel in regards to it in comparison to speculation videos. So then, Fast Meta, if that's even said correctly at all, asks, will I be doing other content besides Pokemon in the future? Similar to the Let's Play thing, there's not been much of a drive for other content on my channel in the past. I've done little videos here and there of like single games at a time. Similarly though, this channel's like speculation and news, so it just doesn't fit there. And it's just a rule of YouTube in general. Once you've got your audience, it's very hard to switch the audience, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine with doing speculation videos. I enjoy doing it. I'm not gonna switch completely. It's not like I'm hating the speculation videos and I just want to do other content. It's a case of people don't watch other content, so why would I do the other content, sort of thing. I know some people would, of course, but in terms of in comparison to speculation, other videos, it's just it's a disconnect. That's the one thing about there. So yeah, unlikely speculation videos and stuff like that is where it's at generally. Then Deserac asks, good old Deserac. Oh, good times, Deserac. I think Deserac gave me a shiny Greninja one time. It's brilliant. Anyway, ever thought about doing collabs? Other people discuss theory on news. So I've never been much of a collaborator on YouTube. One, because my personality sort of hinders it. I'm not very outgoing in terms of putting myself out there or speaking up. A lot of you guys will know, hark back to the Lumio Station days where I sort of was very much in the background, even when I was invited to. I think it was like a prison podcast. I didn't really say anything because, as I said, I'm not outgoing. I never really got to know people in the community, I suppose you could say. So generally, collabs sort of off my radar completely. I've done some in the past with tag locks and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not really a pure collab there. And I have done other collabs in the past with friends of mine, just not necessarily other people in the community. And I haven't really spoken to anyone in the community for a long while now. I sort of just cut myself off for it because, again, I wasn't talking to anyone particularly in there. So it was a case of might as well just keep myself to myself. So I thought about it, of course, but it's not really my scene at all. It just doesn't work out for me, basically. Unfortunately, then moving on to Kieran Bennett. Similarly here, he asks, hey Matt, would you ever consider community videos in the future beyond this Q&A? So streams, battles, online mayhem, other big multiplayer games. Some of you who've been watching me a long time, like Deserac, will remember when I did live streams, basically every week at least, or just, regularly for X and Y, and that was like battles and trades and Wonder Trade and stuff like that. And yeah, it was fun times. It was great, good. I think, was it free for all? Or was it like, just battles in general? It's pretty cool generally. I did enjoy it. Streaming has always been an issue for me, however, because I have terrible internet connection. So I just can't stream whatever I want. If I do stream, it has to be sort of planned to make sure that the internet is okay and it's not being used by anyone else, I suppose. And I also have to stream at like 360p, 480p, which isn't bad for Pokemon, but it means other games I would want to stream or might want to stream. It's not gonna happen basically. And as I said, I did do stream Pokemon and stuff like that. It's just, I think what killed the stream was when I hit 50k, I was like, boom, I'm gonna do like a huge long stream. And then my capture card broke on that same day. And that just sort of collapsed out there. Obviously, I had to wait for my capture card to come back to even start doing any streams. And just from there, it hasn't been as interactive, just because I just got some bad taste left in my mouth. So it's unlikely to happen as well, because currently I'm working and I have my final year of university as well. So I will be busy with dissertation and whatnot there. And yeah, don't have much of a drive for it, as I mentioned, because of that bad taste left in my mouth from that experience, unfortunately. So then, Christian McCready asks, this is actually about sort of now videos, I suppose, current videos. Will you add more pictures to your videos to make it more interesting? Your voice alone is not enough, to be honest with you. Now, this is a problem I can definitely understand why people, obviously with most of my speculation videos, it's like 1 or 2 different slides of pictures and whatnot, and I do understand that that's not totally interactive. The issue I have is that either I do that, and we have like picture slide per topic, or I go all out and do like effects, and not effects, but proper interactive graphics, and I just do not have the time for that. This is, as I mentioned, working full time, so this is done in my free time. The more time they get sucked up in YouTube when I'm not working is obviously a lot of effort there. I do enjoy it, but it's still a lot of effort, and that's the time I'm not relaxing, time I'm not doing other things I'm interested in, playing games, stuff like that, and doing that sort of animation or video editing, it takes time. So I tend to stick to, just to keep myself sort of grounded, I tend to stick to slides as I go along. So I'll record a video, or I'll make the slides beforehand, and then I'll talk to the slides. I know it's probably not as sort of interactive, but generally I see most of my videos to be viewed as background noise, not sorry noise, but people put the video on, they go on and they play a game and they listen to me talk about different types of Ultra Sun and the Moon, speculation about stuff that could appear in the Ultra Sun and the Moon, and the pictures are an accompaniment. So if people do want to watch the video, have it to the side, they can see when I explain things like graphs or different images, then they can do that. So I'll try and make it as interactive as possible, but at the same time I have to manage it so that I just don't end up making video, because if I spend a load of time on one video, it means that that's the only video that's put on the week, for example. So I tend to like to keep the videos rolling out. There are periods and patches where I don't upload because I just don't feel like it, or don't have enough ideas, because I'm not a creative person at all. So the lack, I suppose, of interactive pictures, graphics is literally to help me basically. So I will try where I can, but that's the reason why. Jeffrey then asks, what Pokemon will you use for your mascot in your intro? So, I have a mascot. I don't use the mascot because I've never been a person to sort of want to be recognised by the mascot, because of course my name doesn't hint at a mascot at all. But my favourite Pokemon / mascot is Elekid. It's always been a favourite Pokemon of mine. I'll do a very quick story. Back when I played Fire Red Leaf Green, played the main game, went to Four Islands, something like that, bred Pokemon with daycare, I put Electabuzz in there, and then I hatched an Elekid, and I didn't know anything about baby Pokemon at this point, because it's sort of not before the days of the internet, but before the days I was actually on the internet, and I didn't know, and an Elekid hatched, and it was like, mind blown. So ever since then I've had a little attachment to the little guy, and I have some art for him I use in places. So yeah, that's sort of my mascot there. I don't use him to display myself. Obviously I have my integral logo for that, so it fits a bit easier there, but that's my mascot / favourite Pokemon. Then, Super Chelsea 198 asks, why do I like James Blunt so much? And then obviously in brackets, goodbye my friends, which is my outro. Now, a little story time. So my outro doesn't have nothing to do with James Blunt at all. It actually has to do with a British comedian called Russell Howard. Now, Russell Howard has a TV show, or had, I don't know if it's still running or what, but every now and again there's a series of, it's called Russell Howard's Good News. And it's sort of like those weekly news comedy shows where they go over the news and make jokes about it, sort of thing. It's just him. He's a sort of stand-up comedian, I suppose. And he's a pretty cool guy. I do like, I enjoy the show, of course. And it was back when I was first making the channel, or similarly, doing YouTube and stuff. And he has an outro he uses sometimes, which is just goodbye my friends. And I thought he was like his proper outro, but when I actually went looking for like a video of it for this video, which I'll show you guys in a minute, actually, he doesn't do that much. It was like season 6 when I got these clips from, or this clip from, so obviously before then he didn't use it, and then after he didn't use it all the time. I thought it was like his proper outro, but I guess he just said it a couple of times. I picked up on that and just started using it in my videos, because I needed something then like, bye guys. I needed something, and I just picked it up. So that's where I got it from, and here he is.
Thanks very much for watching Good News. Good night, my friends.
So yeah, if you feel like, feel free to check them out if you want. I think all of the Good News episodes are on YouTube if you don't live in the UK, so go ahead and watch those. Pretty funny. Just my opinion, of course. But that's where the outro comes from. Yeah, that's sort of just where it's always come from, I suppose. So that's the last question about the channel. So if we then move on to the personal questions, of course, because everyone likes some personal questions. So first up, Daniel asks, how old am I? Well, I'm 21 now. I turned 21 on the 30th of June, 2017. So I'm getting on, guys. I'm getting on, getting old. Need to get some grey hairs. Yeah, so 21. I can legally drink in the US now, so I'm pretty happy about that. It's always good. I think 21's, yeah, whatever. But of course, I've been able to do it here for ages, so I'm not really bothered. And I've never been to the US, so that's me. So that's, yeah, I'm 21 years old. That's pretty simple, that. Then, as I asked, where do I live? I mentioned earlier in the video, I live in the UK. That's as far as you're getting, though. But UK, British, for the win. Then, moving on, we have Pokesaurus quickly asks, have I heard of a game called Monster Hunter? Yes, indeed I have. And so, which is my favourite monster? I've heard of the series, I've watched some trailers here and there, but I've never played it myself, so I don't know the favourite monster, unfortunately. Then, moving further on, we have Deep Shaking, who asks a couple of questions. First one, what exactly is my job? I see you talking about on Twitter. I'm not entirely sure what you do. Well, currently, as I mentioned, I'm working full-time. I do have my last year of university to do, so currently I'm working full-time. It's like a placement year, so I'm just working full-time for a year as part of my degree. And what I'm doing is, I'm basically, well, I'm a software developer, I suppose. I'm based in a team that's based around user interfaces, so as a team, we design buttons, so we design them, the graphics team design them for us, and we make them, so we use frameworks like Windows Presentation Framework, so that's that, WinForms. Some of you guys might have heard of these, but basically we take the initial Windows stuff, so when you're using Windows, you see these shitty little, like, grey buttons. We take those, and we make them look cool. Pretty much. I do work on other stuff though, I've made applications here and there, done the interfaces for some as well. So that's generally what I do, but generally software developer is what I come under. And then the second one is play any new games for the last year or so. Now some of you guys may know I'm not totally up to date on games, generally because of the pricing nowadays. I'm not paying £60, $60 for a new game that comes out unless I'm really interested in it, because generally might as well wait a year, 6 months, and it'll just be a lot cheaper. Plus, I don't have much to drive to actually play games nowadays. Eventually, now and again, I'll get a game in my head and I'll really want to play it, and I'll play it. But generally, it's not a case I can't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to play this game and play it. I have to actually be into it, which doesn't happen that often. So, I'm not up to date on recent games. Breath of the Wild is listed there. I am hoping to get a Nintendo Switch at some point, definitely to play Breath of the Wild, as well as, of course, we have the Pokemon Switch game coming at some point, and Mario later on this year. I'm just sort of holding out for the Switch to see possibly whether they'll release a bundle at Christmas, for example, where, because currently they're just on their own, you have to buy the game separately, so I'm hoping that there'll be like a Mario bundle or something at Christmas. Just you know, worth the wait sort of thing, and we'll see, because currently I'm not interested in too many more games than just Breath of the Wild. So yeah, there's no rush for me basically, although I would really like to play the game. We'll see. But yes, that's that. And then we have Droid Void, who asks, what are some of my hobbies? What is it doing in free time? So obviously working, it's not really a hobby though. So free time, playing games here and there. But one of my things to do in my free time is actually I just carry on work at home. One of the issues I have is that if I have nothing to do, I get just bored and it just spirals out of control. And I'm just, you know, going to work and coming home. I'm like hoping, you know, I'm like, oh, come on, time go past 11 o'clock and I go to sleep, and I wake up the next day, go to work, and then I wait, you know, get home and then just wait for it to be 11 o'clock again, go to sleep. So I need something to do. So what I fill a lot of my time with is work at home, so sort of personal projects in terms of software development, stuff like that, designing UI. One of the projects I'm working on recently is actually, I've been playing RuneScape in the background on the side, and I've taken the RuneScape graphics, RuneScape UI, and I've started porting that into sort of Windows Presentation Framework and designing stuff like that, so you can see some images here, hopefully, of how it looks and what I've done. Again, just stuff to do in my free time to actually keep me busy, basically. So that's my hobbies there. Of course, apart from YouTube, that would be that. So, the last two questions here we have are on their own because they are from two friends of mine, and they were, yeah, they're actually the two friends that are playing the game with me in the background right now, so they are. Morgan, or Moogle, asks, who is my favourite member of TCK? That will mean nothing to any of you. TCK stands for the Cooliest Kids, which is just a Skype group we had on Skype. Obviously, the favourite member is me, because who else would it be? Come on now. Is Lumia Station ever coming back? I could not tell you. Probably not, though, since it's been almost, let me have a look, 3 years? 2 years, rather. Almost 2 years since they tweeted that we've been on a bit of hiatus as of late, and unfortunately, we won't be hosting a prison podcast tonight. We'll be up and running next week. Yep, still waiting on that next week, guys. And then when you start the hacking tutorials, now hacking tutorials are something I did on my very first channel, because I did some Pokemon hacking myself. It says Pokemon hacking, it's like, you know, the editing of the ROM with advanced map and stuff like that. I did some myself, and there weren't many tutorials on it, so I started doing some then, and people liked them, so I did them then. I did like 1 or 2, I think, on this channel at some point, but I never carried on with it because the software has always been a bit temperamental with it, and yeah, I just didn't get around to it basically, and then the series was dropped. But yeah, and that's that. And obviously, Willie is beneath it, little Willie, of course. We have who's the coolest person you know, and why is it me? Yeah, I'm not going to answer that question at all. Just will simply ignore it. And I shall say thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoy this Q&A. If you guys have any extra questions to add on to my responses, feel free to plot them down in the comment section, and hopefully I'll get around to responding to them at some point, because why not? But this is going to be it for today, so I might leave you a few clips of the duck game, sort of, you know, stuff me and Morgan and Willie recorded, so feel free to stay for that. But that's going to be it for today, so I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.
How? Oh man, Matt, you're dead. Run, Matt, that's the fire.
I know, I'm hiding.
The fire is like the worst thing to ever come into this game. Oh, Matt. Look at the gun up there, it's freaking shooting on its own. Get it, Matt.
It's just too hot, just don't fucking want it.
Too hot, hot damn.
No!
Ah, outplayed, man.
I like how Matt's actually just spamming his keyboard right now. Matt's going full on mechanics mode.
Oh.
Oh my god.
that full on went for Matt there. Like, it was fucking aim button. Oh boy.
Joe, fuck my life. Yep. So no one's going near them again.
Oh man, there's a hole there. Oh.
What did I do with it?
Oh fuck no. Oh no. Get that. I try to get the present, man. The present has so money. Morgan, stop lagging, man. Make the game unfair.
Oh my god,
what?
oh my god, he's done it! Someone go fade. That was the fastest round you'll ever see of
No, it wasn't. I said, oh fuck. Why was I having the fastest round ever? I think Matt just beat you now. Jesus Christ. Matt gets like on this fucking hole down the fucking trigger button and hopes for ridiculous.
Is that one Pokemon puzzle?